Tires are often the talk of the day in the pit lane in any racing series. We have joined forces with Dunlop as the official tire supplier of the Radical Middle East Cup. So, let's find out what challenges Dunlop faces to keep the boys on the track.
Being the official tire supplier to any racing series is quite a responsibility. What are your specific challenges with the Radical Middle East Cup?
Well, the Radical Middle East Cup is difficult for us because it's the conditions we have here in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. I mean, the track temperatures, the heat, the ambient temperatures, and we have to use the same tyre we use for Radical in Europe. So having this, we have to make sure the car runs correctly, set up correctly. And the specific challenge for us really is to have a safe tyre for all drivers, but it still has to be a very quick tyre. It cannot be a slow tyre.
Now, Radicals are very different from saloon cars. How does that reflect back to the tires?
Well, really, the Radical is a small sports car, and our history is sports car. And the Radicals now, the SR8s, are going just a little bit slower than the main LMP2 cars. So we have the history of building these tyres, the LMP2 tyre. The only difference is this is a smaller tyre, and now we have to be careful that the smaller tyre performs as well, but is still very safe on the tyre. So we make the tyre specific for the Radical, and the history with Dunlop and Radical is that we've designed the tyre to go on the car, and the car has been designed around the Dunlop tyre. We've very close relationship with Radical.
With tires, you have a few variables that you can manipulate, which is, for example, the tire pressure, which is also the tire temperature. How do you manipulate that, or how do you get the most out of it manipulating these factors?
Well, you get the most out of these factors by making sure the car is running correctly. If you do not have the right pressure, you will have a problem with the tyre. If you do not have the right setup, you will have a problem with wear. And the car feels uncomfortable. The car has to be comfortable for the driver, and it has to be still very quick. So you have to run the right pressure and the right setup to make sure the tyre performs correctly. It's only the same as the car has to be set up correctly for the driver.
We see in other racing series, they heat up the tires. Here you can't do that, or they don't do it. How do you control temperature?
You don't control it, the circuit controls it. Here, I mean, even when you use heaters, by the time the car hits the first lap, the temperature's gone out of the tyre to a certain degree, but the tyre still feels comfortable. Here, because you sometimes have track temperature of 45, 50 degrees, the first lap in, pressure and temperature's up. And the temperature and the heat in the tyre is not really the problem. It's getting that pressure up in the tyre so that when it hits the curbs, etc., the tyre is stiff enough to take that.
Now, what would be your advice to racing drivers in order to take good care of the tires? Because, look, you can ruin a tire by being too aggressive, getting the heat up. You can have flat spots. We all know these things. What is your advice as a tire manufacturer?
My advice as a tyre manufacturer and an engineer is to tell the driver, and I've often told this to drivers, that they are sitting on 4 balloons. The car is on 4 air balloons, and the air is most important. Without air, the car will not operate. So you have to look after that air in that balloon. So you be careful with the balloons. If you pop the balloon, you're not going to race. And I always tell racing drivers the first few laps to get the air control in that balloon is very important. Most will listen, but there's a few that they have to take time to understand that.
Now, this weekend we have a bit of a rare situation in Dubai. We have rain, or we had rain yesterday, and probably we might have rain today. Happy for a lot of people, but our racing drivers have an extra challenge. How did you prepare for it, or how do you tackle this situation?
Well, you prepare for it by having a wet tyre. The wet tyre that we have runs into dry conditions very well. The pattern in the tyre can run into 1 hour of dry condition, but the problem you have is when there's standing water, the tyre cannot get rid of standing water, and that is why we're on hold at the moment, because the circuit has standing water, and I would not let the cars go out when there's big puddles. And I've talked to the organisers, and they agree with me that when there's lots of standing water, the racing car cannot move that.
Graham, thank you very much for your know-how and expertise that you bring to the racing series. We're looking forward to a nice round.
That's very good. Thank you very much. I enjoyed coming here and always will do.
Pleasure.
This is the Radical Middle East Cup. You're going to see amazing pictures online and videos. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Stay with us.